Welcome to College Volleyball Weekly on volleyballmag.com, powered by P1440. Thanks for clicking or tapping in. Now here's your host, Rob Espero, also known as Rob on the Mic.
Hi, I'm with Camden Gianni, outside hitter of Grand Canyon University, the Lopes. Just coming back from the Raising Cane's Hawaii Rainbow Warrior Invitational in Hawaii. But more important than that, something huge happened in your life exactly a year ago today. Camden, can you share with us what happened?
So a year ago today, I was up at UCLA Hospital and went into open heart surgery to fix something that happened on December 28th, 2018, because I collapsed on the volleyball court and had 2 seizures and then went into cardiac arrest for 3 minutes. My trainer and manager for our team were then basically doing their job, doing a great job, and revived me back to life. And I was then sent to a nearby hospital to then have more tests done to basically determine like what was going to happen from there on out to make sure that I was okay.
That's a pretty intense start of the 2019 campaign. Just an everyday routine going to practice. Is that what you're doing when things happen?
Yeah, so we started double days that day. And we had double days from the 28th, I believe, to the 1st of January, because then we were going up to Santa Barbara to go play Long Beach, Santa Barbara, and Northridge. And so we had our first practice in the morning and I felt fine. Then we had lift, and after lift, I felt like unusually tired and kind of just hard to catch my breath. And our weightlifting trainer was basically telling us, like, go eat healthy, make sure you guys get enough food in you to make sure that you guys have enough energy to go through to the second practice. And I kind of shrugged him off. I was like, I need to go eat as much as I can right now. Like, I don't really care what I eat. I just need a lot of food. So I went over to Panda Express, that was kind of like one of the only places open on campus. And I ate some food and kind of just relaxed for like next 3 hours. And practice then started and went fine. And I go hit this ball, and then all of a sudden I just feel this super uneasiness with my head, and kind of just my chest started feeling heavy. I couldn't really catch my breath, dizzy, lightheaded, like basically all the signs. But I didn't really think anything of it. Like, I've had some episodes of this happening in the past where like none of that really, like not all of it happened at once. And I was kind of fine after it. But then I go over to the side and told my coach, like, hey, put someone in for me. Like, I'm not feeling very well. And so I just go lay down. And Deborah, which is my athletic trainer, the one that saved my life, she was like, hey, what do you need? Like, what's going on? And I was like, well, I just feel really lightheaded. And my chest is really hurting, but I just need some water. Like, I'm just dehydrated. So she goes to get me some water. And then I go in, I take a sip, and I feel super claustrophobic. So I kick a shoe off. And I put my cup down and I go into my first seizure, but I was unconscious at the time. So I kind of wake up from that first seizure and like kind of confused and dazed and like, what's going on? And I see the water cup had been knocked over. I was like, that's weird. Like, did a ball hit it or something like that? And
right.
And then I go into my second seizure, which then after that, I don't have a pulse for 3 minutes. They start doing CPR on me. And then she hooked an AED up to me. And it sort of shocked me. So it shocked me once. And then she put her hands back onto my chest to see if she needed to do more chest compressions. And then she felt my heart kick start again. And then I kind of woke up within the next like 15 seconds after that.
Wow. So there were a few people involved. Can you give us some of the names of the people that were there? Obviously, your trainer, Deborah, is it Storm? Is that correct?
Deborah Storm, and then Dennis Flowers.
Mm-hmm.
And then my Matt Worley was on the phone with 911.
Now, obviously, you were going through this situation and this incident. When you came to, what were your thoughts immediately coming out?
Yeah, I was just super confused. I had asked a bunch of times like what had happened, and Deborah told me a few times like that I collapsed and wasn't really doing anything. They put an AED on me, but I actually never really understood what had happened until I was sitting in the hospital bed at the hospital that I was sent to, and a nurse comes in. He's like, all right, like, I need to hear from you. What happened? And I kind of go, I my ears kind of turned on. I was like, all right, what's going on? And
Mhm.
he came off the court with lightheadedness and heavy chest, and he then laid down and had 2 seizures. And at that point, like, my eyes just got super big because I was like, I've never had a seizure before, let
Right.
alone in practice or anything. And like, I don't remember it. And then after that, she then goes to tell him that I went into cardiac arrest and they put an AED on me and defibrillated me to make sure that I came back to life. And like, I just lost it at that point. Like, I was super overwhelmed, just didn't know what
Yeah.
happened. And then that night we had a bunch of tests going on, basically to try and determine like what had happened. And my assistant coach, basically everyone was in the hospital with me that night, from coaching staff wise, basically making sure that I'm okay and that for the rest of the night that I'll be okay. And
Right.
I got a phone call from my mom's like asking me what was going on. I was like, I don't know, you need to talk to Deborah. Like, I'm still really confused with what happened. And right after I got off the phone with my mom, my sister called me and was basically bawling her eyes out, like screaming, like, are you okay?
Mhm.
And it's like, yeah, I'm okay. I just don't know really know what happened. Like, I don't know how to take this information. And so that night, our assistant coach, Keith, he was in the hospital with me until 4 a.m. that morning because I was fearful of going to sleep because I didn't know what would happen that
Right.
night. So,
Wow. Now, your next steps after you discovered what happened was would imagine be a huge evaluation and assessment process for you. What was going through your mind going, wow, I just had this cardiac arrest. What's next in line, or what's going
yeah.
to happen next?
So I'm a very religious person. Like, I definitely believe that God has a plan for everyone. And basically that whole mindset for me had definitely helped me through this whole process. Basically, like, knowing that like God's got my back. Like, my plan isn't exactly what I think it's going to be. It's not going to be the best plan, but like God definitely has a plan for me. And so I kind of just took it with a grain of salt and basically like was understanding that like, listen, like, I might not like the cards that I've been dealt, but there's definitely something that's going to come out of this that's a little bit bigger than I am. And basically having faith in God that like his story is not done with me. Like, there's a reason that Deborah was there. There's a reason that Dennis was there. There's a reason that like this happened on the specific day that it did, just because like there could have been other days where I just wouldn't have had a chance.
Yeah.
And so I'd been in a hospital for 3 days after that, and they basically determined that I would never play volleyball again because they didn't find a problem to start with. And so they basically were telling me that I needed a defibrillator in me and that I wouldn't be able to continue like competitive sports anymore. And so later that night, I had one more test, and they finally found what had caused it because they overlooked it in one of the prior tests. And then basically go from there is just surgery for repairing it.
Hmm. Wow. Open heart surgery is pretty serious, and and obviously your mindset was like God's got this in His hands,
Yeah.
and you just move forward and trusting Him. It sounds
Yeah.
like that's incredible. Now, after the procedure, what served as your motivation to go back into school and then obviously back onto the court eventually?
Yeah. So I actually was taking online classes after I had my open heart surgery. I wasn't really supposed to be in a classroom, but I figured, hey, why not keep trying to get some classes going so that I could still have the opportunity to graduate on time and not really have to worry about eligibility and any of that stuff. So I was taking classes, but whenever the team was on the road, like, we drove up to Santa Barbara the weekend that they came up here before my heart surgery, and then to Stanford and basically all throughout California, and then came to a few home matches here. Just basically like being around everyone kind of motivated me to like keep pushing forward and keep trusting God's plan that like there is something that's going to come out of this. I just don't know what it is.
Right.
But just being faithful and all that was kind of what helped me.
Well,
No, gosh.
actually, it's the anniversary of your open heart surgery, but played in your first match last Thursday night. What feelings, thoughts, emotions did you have preparing for your first match? And mind you, probably one of the most highly attended venues in the nation at the
Yeah.
Stan Sheriff Center.
It was something where I was like looking forward to it all year, but at the same time, like the anticipation of actually getting to that point was a little bit greater than the actual day that it came. I mean, I'd been working my butt off ever since that surgery happened. And I got cleared 3 months early than I was supposed to, just because of how quick I healed and the whole process of that. So I think that as much as it was overwhelming through the last 9 months after my surgery, I think that was a little bit more overwhelming than the actual day that I actually was like, I felt ready.
Right. Well, it showed. You actually had some good nights out there in Hawaii. I believe your first match against Emmanuel, you had 8 kills. One error and hit 500.
Yeah.
And then at Harvard, tacked on 13 more kills and 2 ace, 3 digs, a solo, and against a pretty good Harvard team. So, and then obviously Hawaii, #1 team in the nation. You
Yeah.
held your own on there, but you played phenomenally well. I saw some of the footage. Actually, I watched some of the matches, and you had some really good swings. It looks like you're in really good shape now.
Yeah, it definitely has helped my confidence level with knowing that the doctors trust me to be able to play.
Now, I noticed in some of the media that you've been quoted in and featured in that you've said through our interview that God has a plan for you. Has that plan become more clear for you since the beginning of this year with you being restored to full health?
Yes and no. I mean, it's only been a year, so like the whole process of everything has definitely come a little bit more full circle. But I mean, I'm still 20 years old, so there's still a lot of life to be had. And I mean, I'm up for whatever God has in store for me. I don't know how much more there is.
Right. Well, you come onto a team that actually that the people are aware of. You're actually one of the forces on the team that's being referenced to across the scouting and coaching circles. Right? Grand Canyon's got a good set of pins. That's you and Christian Janke. That's quite a testimony of you coming back and this young team. Do you believe that could serve as motivation for the rest of the team and rally the campus around your team?
Yes and no. I mean, it's a full team effort with what Matt is trying to instill in us, and basically understanding that we do have the tools to become what we want to become. It's just a matter of putting it all together and working as a team, and kind of putting all of our individual egos on the side, but keeping our character and our basically composure that each of us bring to the table.
Awesome. Big victories already before you even taken court this season, just by being on the court on Thursday night. So I thank you for taking the time with volleyballmag.com, and it's an incredible story. I mean, it's definitely inspirational, and I can't wait to see how you do this year, how your Grand Canyon team does, because you're definitely on people's radars. They're definitely wary of the threat of the Lopes this year if they play against them. So again, congratulations. And man, it's quite the celebration of life. And you're such an incredible testimony to human persistence, perseverance, strength, faith, and volleyball. So thanks, Christian.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.